As you probably can imagine, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work at the Idaho State House that we don't really talk about much. Some of that is procedural, sure, but it's really not that exciting. But sometimes those little-known processes can create a major debate. We're tracking one of those as we speak. It's a battle over who directs and oversees the Office of Performance Evaluation. I'm sure many of you are asking right now, what exactly is the Office of Performance Evaluation? Well, there's supposed to be a nonpartisan, independent office of the legislature that evaluates whether state government programs and the agencies involved with them are operating efficiently, cost-effectively, and are achieving the intended results. There's a proposal at the State House that would change who oversees that. Some say it's a basic move with no impact. Others warn it could have crucial consequences. Here's Joe Paris.
A behind-the-scenes battle is now heading to the full Idaho House for debate. The question: should the Office of Performance Evaluation see its oversight shifted to a new committee?
I would say it's the most important thing happening that you don't know anything about right now.
House Minority Leader, Democrat Representative Rubel, says oversight of the Office of Performance Evaluation should remain with the bipartisan Joint Legislative Oversight Committee, which has 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans on it. But a proposal would see that shift to the Legislative Council, a committee of 8 Republicans and 6 Democrats.
So it would end basically one of the only places we still have in Idaho government where we have neutral bipartisan oversight.
The Office of Performance Evaluations, or OPE, is a long-standing establishment that is meant to evaluate whether state government programs and agencies are operating efficiently and cost-effectively and are also achieving their intended results. Rubel fears that will change if it moves to a partisan committee.
Right now we have an organization where everybody believes what they say because it's totally neutral and bipartisan. If it were put under the control of Republican leadership, there'd be a loss of credibility, but there'd be a very big difference in the mission. I think it would, what they do all of a sudden would be aligning with the desires of those in control, which is very different from how it works now.
Rubel, a member of the Joint Legislative Oversight Committee, says the group gets to submit for 3 or 4 reports on agencies and programs a year that are real deep dives. She believes if oversight changes, that will change as well, turning to a more basic audit on programs. However, Republicans disagree.
A lot of people are concerned that those OPE reports aren't going to come out anymore. That is not facts at all.
House Majority Leader, Republican Representative Megan Blanksma, says the idea about moving oversight from the Joint Legislative Oversight Committee to the Legislative Council is simple.
What you have to look at is JLOC is a fully appointed committee. So those people are not chosen by their peers to represent the thoughts and feelings of the legislature and to determine what agencies need to be reviewed. Okay? They're appointed. In this other manner, Legislative Council, all of the people that are on Legislative Council have been elected in one way or another by their peers and are presumably, you know, when you run an election, you're going to vote for somebody who you think you can relate to and that will be representative of you. So presumably, Leg Council is representative of the legislators and would do the review in a process that would represent them.
She adds that she believes work by OPE really won't change in reality.
OPE's job is literally in statute. That's what they are supposed to do, and how they're supposed to do is in statute. So it doesn't really matter what directives come out of whatever council or committee that is giving the directive as far as partisanship. They still have a system that they have to follow. And so this whole idea that all of a sudden the Republicans are going to take something over and destroy it, A, I find it offensive because we're not out to destroy regardless of some people's opinion. And B, this is a much more representative way of picking agency reviews.
Blanksma wants to see OPE assignments also return towards its more intended purpose.
JLOC for the last couple of years has been approving projects as submitted that aren't necessarily in line with what code says OPE is supposed to do, right? It's the Office of Performance Evaluations. It's supposed to evaluate agencies, not, I would like to know more about sea otters, okay? That's not their job. And while I appreciate that some of the study work that they've done has been useful to people, they're supposed to be reviewing agencies.
We would never be having a discussion about fixing our school facilities, about what we need to pay educators and classified personnel in schools. None of those studies would be in existence if this bill had gone through previously. Now, thankfully, we have the benefit of those past studies, but I want a future where we have more studies that tell us, you know, real, reliable information that's overseen in a bipartisan way that gives decision makers the information they need to do a good job.
The actual bill gets rid of JLOC and assigns OPE to a different committee. That's all it does. It doesn't, it doesn't control the conditions of how OPE reports.
Nobody will see what's below the iceberg, so their mission will fundamentally alter, but also the people overseeing the mission will become very partisan. It will be the Republican leadership in control of the building will now be in control of the checks and balances on themselves. And they will be in control of any investigation of their work or investigation of their bills or investigation of their agencies.
The structure of OPE is in code. They have certain responsibilities. And unless we change those code responsibilities, it still has the same function. It's just determined by Leg Council, which is elected by the members of the legislature rather than an appointed group.
So to be clear for you at home, the process right now, there's actually a bill, a piece of legislation that would amend the way the OPE situation works right now. That bill did pass out of committee just this afternoon and is now headed to the full Idaho House. Brian, this is one of those conversations where it can be, really nuanced and it can be very complicated. And frankly, I'm sure many of our viewers may have never even heard of OPE before. But it's one of those behind-the-scenes things that happens at the State House that could have a big impact depending on who you ask. So here on the 208, we like to dive into some of those behind-the-scenes things as well as the big headlines items.
All right, we'll watch it move through. Thank you very much, Joe.